I guess they didn't think enough today of spreading their very paper-thin impeachment process for over 12 to 14 hours was enough. So tonight, without consulting the ranking member, without consulting anyone, schedules of anybody be put out there. We're scheduling this at 10 a.m. in the morning. I don't know. The integrity level of this committee has been, the chairman's integrity is gone. His staff is gone. This was the most Bush League thing I have seen forever. And if the American people wondered about this impeachment anymore, they don't have to wonder anymore. They saw what happened right here tonight, because this committee is more concerned about getting it on TV in the morning than it was finishing its job tonight and letting the members go home. Words cannot describe how inappropriate this was, how I have been saying for the whole year how this committee is just simply rum-shotting the rules of this House, and this proves it tonight. They do not care about rules. They have one thing, their hatred of Donald Trump, and this showed it tonight because they want to shine into these cameras, get prettied up, and then vote and make it all happen. This was the most, I'm just beyond words at this point, but it shows their lack of integrity in this process and the lack of case that they have. For them to actually come out here to defend this is the most ludicrous thing I've ever seen in my life.
Why does it really matter if you vote tonight or tomorrow? I mean, Jim Sensenbrenner, the former chair of this committee, complimented Chairman Nadler for how he conducted this markup.
I don't think Jim Sensenbrenner would compliment him right now, as Jim Sensenbrenner left pretty frustrated tonight. The reason we have this tonight is we had worked this out tonight to finish up tonight. So we have members who have flights. We have members who are getting on trains. We have members who are going home because this was going to finish up tonight. But to not even consult the ranking member, to not even give us a heads up, this was all we heard. And we had been consulting back and forth in that last few minutes about who was going to speak and how we were going to end the speaking tonight, so that we had plenty of more amendments and other things we could have offered tonight and been here all night. But we chose to say, we've said all we need to say, they've said all they need to say, and we're finishing this up. That was the most lack of integrity thing I've ever seen by a member of Congress, especially a chairman.
Do members who are supposed to be on this Codell move tomorrow?
I have no idea.
Mr. Collins, just to clarify, before Mr. Nadler announced it, you had gotten no word in any way about that.
I think that my expression right now would confirm that. That was the most shot. And then to see them and then the staff and the chairman have no comment and just sort of go, huh? This is the problem. This is why people don't like us. This crap like this is why people are having such a terrible opinion of Congress. What Chairman Nadler just did and his staff and the rest of the majority who sat there quietly and said nothing. This is why they don't like us, because they know it's all about games. They know it's all about these TV screens. It's all about getting at a president because they want the prime time hit. This is Speaker Pelosi and Adam Schiff and the others directing this committee. I don't have a chairman anymore. I guess I just need to go straight to Ms. Pelosi and say, what TV hit does this committee need to do? Because this committee has lost all relevance. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
So that was the ranking member. For viewers just joining us, Nadler just gavelled the thing into recess, says we'll be back at this 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Technically, this has nothing to do with impeachment, everything to do with courtesy between the parties. So, Garrett, that's where we stand, and we were correct in assuming that it's about flights and planes and trains and automobiles.
Yeah, absolutely. Congressional logistics. Look, you see a lot of performative anger in hearings like this. That was the real thing. I mean, that was the ranking member who felt completely broadsided. Remember, we had a recess about 9 o'clock. They were supposed to break up for half an hour. It went on a little bit longer than that. That usually tells us that there's some kind of negotiations taking place. And in fact, when they came back from that recess around 9:45, you saw that this was clearly wrapping up. You had even some members praising the way that Jerry Nadler, the chairman, had handled things up till that point, allowing this free-flowing debate. There was no guidance given whatsoever to the minority, and it's not even clear to me whether Democrats knew about this. We've not seen them come out to these stakeout cameras to speak on their own behalf here, whether this was something that even Democrats knew was coming or whether this was closely held by the chairman. Look, there are few norms left in American politics and in Congress. There's so much bad faith deals that happen, but generally speaking, the basics of how hearings are negotiated, time and place, is pretty much done in an above-board way. And I think you saw a ranking member there furious that this was not done in that manner.
Yeah, he was, and I concur that was genuine anger. The problem with the argument is 10 a.m. is hardly prime time for hearing viewership.
No, I would agree with that. Although, what are we coming up on now? 11:30 tonight here on the East Coast. I suppose they want to, the argument would be that this would be an all-day story one way or the other. It seems to me like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, whether you vote tonight and have this go tomorrow morning. I suppose you could imagine that Democrats don't want to have the talking point that it was a midnight vote, in the dark of night and so forth. But this is a weird move. You were so close to the end here. You would have thought that this hearing would have been wrapped up in maybe the next half hour or so to reset and generate another day of this. It's not as if articles of impeachment voted out of the Judiciary Committee wouldn't have been the political story on the planet tomorrow, whether they'd done it at any hour tonight. But I guess we'll start fresh again tomorrow.
And one more question before I let you go. Did the Democrats scatter, or are they in a caucus room listening to the coach, perhaps?
As best I could tell, they were scattering, Brian, but as soon as I'm off camera with you, we're going to go try to track them down.
Garrett Haake, thank you very much for some seat-of-the-pants reporting, as we were thrown a curve tonight in the hearing we thought was going to go on much further.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.